A sealed immigration file, a billionaire lifestyle burning through millions every year, and a man who admitted to cocaine, cannabis, and magic mushrooms in his own best-selling memoir, while still living comfortably inside a California mansion, protected by silence. That is where this story begins. Not with a royal wedding, not with a fairy tale, but with a locked file inside the United States immigration system that refuses to go away. Because what many people don't know is that the pressure surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is no longer coming only from royal critics or gossip commentators online. According to journalists, legal analysts, and investigators following the case closely, questions are now being raised in places far more dangerous than social media. Questions about money, questions about immigration, questions about who protected them, and questions about how long that protection can actually last. Today, we are diving into the story that author Tom Bauer has spent years building piece by piece, not through emotional interviews or dramatic television specials, but through what he calls documented patterns, financial contradictions, and testimony from people inside elite circles who watch the Sussex machine operate up close. And suddenly, in 2026, those questions are getting louder. The most explosive part? The Department of Homeland Security still refuses to fully release details connected to Harry's immigration status. After legal pressure surrounding his visa, records intensified following admissions made in his memoir, Spare. That single issue changed everything. Because ordinary people lose opportunities every year over far less. A decades-old drug charge, one failed disclosure form, one mistake at a border interview. Yet Harry openly described drug use himself in detail and still remained untouched. Many are questioning how, and the timing could not be worse, because while immigration questions continue growing louder, the Sussex financial empire appears to be shrinking at the exact same moment. According to accounts from royal journalists and industry insiders, several of the couple's biggest business deals either collapsed, stalled, or quietly disappeared after massive public hype. The streaming partnership with Netflix was once presented as the beginning of a media revolution. Carefully staged photos, executive handshakes, headlines promising tens of millions. Then came the reality. Projects vanished. Announcements slowed. Momentum disappeared. The same pattern followed the deal with Spotify. Huge expectations. Massive headlines. Endless promotion. And then only 13 podcast episodes. That number became symbolic, not because 13 episodes is shocking by itself, but because of what it represented. A company known for spending aggressively on celebrity content reportedly decided the partnership no longer justified the investment. That sent a message through Hollywood very quickly. But there's more to this story. Because the real concern, according to people studying the Sussex finances, is not simply lost income. It is the gap between visible spending and visible revenue. Tom Bauer has repeated one number constantly. $3 million per year, and that is reportedly just the minimum estimated cost required to maintain the Sussex lifestyle after taxes. The Sussex mansion in Montecito, the security teams, the staff, the luxury travel, the image management, the endless public-facing performance of royal prestige in California. Now place that figure beside shrinking business deals. That is where the questions begin. Accounts from journalists and insiders reveal growing curiosity about how such a lifestyle continues, while multiple revenue streams appear weakened at the same time. Financial analysts who follow celebrity wealth structures say public image and real liquidity are often two completely different things. And once those questions start, they rarely stop, especially in America, because the IRS does not care about titles. It does not care about documentaries. It does not care about magazine covers. And it certainly does not care about royal status. According to former federal investigators and tax attorneys discussing the situation publicly, the danger comes when spending patterns appear disconnected from provable income streams over extended periods. That is when scrutiny intensifies. And this is exactly what Tom Bauer warned about years ago. At the time, many dismissed him as bitter. Others accused him of targeting Meghan unfairly. But his supporters argue something important has happened since then. His predictions started lining up with reality. The Spotify deal ended. The commercial momentum slowed. The public approval numbers weakened. And criticism, once confined to small online spaces, began entering mainstream conversation. Then came another issue entirely, the visa controversy. On this particular occasion, the situation became far more serious because it moved beyond royal gossip and into legal territory. Harry had already publicly admitted drug use in his memoir. Those admissions existed in print, audio, and international distribution. Not leaked statements, not anonymous claims, his own words. That distinction matters enormously. Immigration lawyers pointed out that American visa applications specifically ask about drug use history. Legal analysts began asking whether Harry received special treatment unavailable to ordinary applicants. The silence from officials only increased suspicion. Then the Heritage Foundation entered the picture, pursuing legal action connected to the release of visa-related information through Freedom of Information Act requests. Suddenly, this was no longer celebrity gossip. It became political. And when politics enters a royal scandal, the temperature changes immediately, especially in a divided America where elite privilege has become one of the most emotionally charged topics in public life. What many people don't know is that some commentators now believe the Sussexes are trapped between two collapsing worlds at once. Hollywood no longer guarantees automatic protection, and royal status no longer guarantees universal public sympathy. That leaves them exposed, financially, politically, socially. And according to accounts from journalists following the story closely, even people who once defended Meghan aggressively have started asking quieter, more cautious questions behind the scenes. Because the deeper researchers looked, the stranger certain parts of the story became. The timeline questions, the disappearing digital footprint, the unusual secrecy surrounding key moments. At first, critics mentioning these details were dismissed completely. Now the conversation is spreading wider. And that shift may be the biggest warning sign of all. Because once mainstream curiosity begins, narratives become much harder to control. To understand how things reached this point, you have to go back before the royal wedding, before the interviews, before California, before the carefully photographed hand-holding moments and glossy magazine covers. Back to ambition. Tom Bauer has described Meghan Markle in extremely direct terms for years. According to his reporting, ambition was not simply part of her personality, it was the engine driving everything. He tells a story about a young Meghan, standing beside her father on a Hollywood set, already fascinated by celebrity culture, already wanting attention, already imagining herself inside that world permanently. And people close to the entertainment industry say that hunger matters, because Hollywood remembers ambitious people very clearly, especially the ones willing to climb aggressively. Unlike Catherine, Princess of Wales, whose royal image developed slowly over years of public duty, Meghan arrived inside the monarchy carrying an entirely different energy. Faster, more media-focused, more celebrity-driven. That difference became obvious quickly. Accounts from palace insiders reveal tension began building almost immediately after the marriage. Housing arrangements reportedly became a sensitive issue. Royal hierarchy became another. The simple reality that William and Catherine occupied the future king and queen positions reportedly frustrated Meghan deeply. According to Bauer, Meghan struggled with the idea of waiting. That matters because monarchy is almost entirely built on waiting. Waiting your turn, following protocol, accepting hierarchy. Catherine spent over a decade doing exactly that. Quiet appearances, hospital visits, school openings, endless public events that rarely generated glamorous headlines. People close to the royal system say she understood the assignment early. Meghan allegedly did not. And inside palace walls, that difference created friction very fast. Prince William reportedly noticed it early, too. Accounts from journalists and insiders reveal William became increasingly concerned about the pace of Harry's relationship. Friends close to the future king allegedly believed Harry was moving emotionally faster than he normally would because of personal vulnerabilities tied to grief, loneliness, and long-standing resentment toward royal life. Then came the Soho House connection. This part of the story continues attracting enormous attention because many researchers believe the official blind date narrative leaves unanswered questions. The name Marcus Anderson appears constantly in discussions surrounding Meghan's rise into elite international circles. Anderson maintained unusually close ties to the couple, even while many other friendships reportedly collapsed over time. That detail stands out, because Meghan developed a reputation for cutting people off very quickly once relationships no longer benefited her. Former friends disappeared from public view. Family relationships exploded publicly. Professional contacts vanished. But Marcus Anderson remained. Why? Many are questioning whether his role in introducing Meghan to Harry was more strategic than accidental, and this is where another controversial discussion enters the story. The Mediterranean years. For years, online critics circulated allegations about Meghan appearing within elite yacht circles connected to wealthy international figures. Initially, mainstream outlets dismissed those claims entirely as misogynistic conspiracy theories. But according to commentators following the story, now the tone has shifted. Not necessarily because definitive proof emerged, but because public willingness to discuss elite networking culture has changed dramatically in recent years. People increasingly recognize how celebrity access often works behind closed doors. Private events, luxury circles, powerful introductions. Researchers examining photographs, travel records, and archived material argue that Meghan spent years strategically positioning herself inside exactly those environments before meeting Harry. Whether every claim is true remains heavily disputed. But the conversation itself is no longer confined to obscure corners of the internet. And that alone represents a huge change. Then there is the digital cleanup. This part fascinates investigators because of how thorough it appeared. Social media accounts disappeared. Old blog content vanished. Archived material became harder to locate. The lifestyle blog The Tig disappeared almost completely once the royal relationship became serious. Some say that is normal rebranding. Others disagree, because according to people studying celebrity image management, the scale of the cleanup looked unusually aggressive, almost surgical. And whenever the public senses information was deliberately erased, curiosity grows stronger. Not weaker, but there's more to this story. Because the backstory became even stranger once researchers started revisiting Meghan's personal timeline itself. Questions surrounding her age circulated for years, largely because of statements made publicly by Samantha Markle and others familiar with the family history. Samantha repeatedly claimed certain timelines did not align correctly. School years, family ages, geographic moves. Critics argued the official biography contained inconsistencies. Supporters dismissed it as bitter family drama. But once again, the important detail is not necessarily whether every allegation proves true. It is that mainstream curiosity around these claims has increased instead of disappearing. That shift matters, because powerful public narratives survive through confidence. Once enough people begin openly questioning details, even small inconsistencies gain enormous attention, and by 2026, the Sussex story had accumulated years of unresolved questions sitting beneath an already collapsing public image. Then came the financial pressure. Then came the visa pressure, and suddenly all those older mysteries returned at the exact same moment. The real crisis began quietly, not with one explosive headline, but with multiple pressure points hitting simultaneously until the entire Sussex image started looking unstable. On that particular occasion, observers noticed something unusual. The couple's public appearances became more defensive. Projects were announced loudly but faded quickly. Afterward, brand launches generated headlines but struggled maintaining momentum. Public approval numbers reportedly weakened across both the United Kingdom and parts of the United States. Then came the American Riviera Orchard launch. The jam became symbolic, almost overnight. Beautiful photographs appeared online, carefully curated kitchen imagery, celebrity gift baskets, handwritten notes, California luxury branding. Everything looked perfect. But accounts from marketing analysts and entertainment insiders reveal growing skepticism behind the scenes. Critics questioned whether the brand possessed an actual business strategy beyond celebrity association itself, and celebrity attention fades fast.